Allegations of voter fraud hit one of the most critical states in the presidential election. This woman, just one of the voters in question, now admitting she voted more than once. Let's bring in our crime and justice correspondent, Joe Johns. He's got the details for us. So what's going on?
Well, Wolf, as far as we know, it's not exactly an epidemic, but the Ohio Attorney General asked boards of elections to look for signs of voter suppression and fraud in Ohio, and they definitely came up with something.
In terms of voting, Hamilton County in the Cincinnati area is seen as one of the nation's true bellwethers, among the most closely watched spots in one of the most closely watched states in the country. So when authorities there indicated they were either issuing subpoenas or referring the names of about 19 voters to prosecutors for allegedly trying to vote more than once, it got a lot of attention. One of the voters was Meloise Richardson, described by the Hamilton County Board of Elections as a poll worker last election, an Obama supporter who admitted voting more than once. An investigation report said she allegedly voted absentee and also signed the voting book at the polls, but she says she wasn't trying to break the law.
There's absolutely no intent on my part to commit any voter fraud. Yes, I voted twice.
In this television interview, she said she voted in person because she was afraid her absentee ballot would not arrive in time to be counted. She did not return CNN's phone calls. Investigators said Ms. Richardson filled out an absentee ballot for her granddaughter, who allegedly voted in person as well. The report said 3 other absentee ballot requests were made in care of someone named M. Richardson, and all 3 were made for the same address in Ohio. All 3 ballots were returned the same date. Handwriting on all the documents was said to be similar. Interesting anecdotes, but in the big picture, it would not have changed the outcome of the presidential election in Ohio, says an elections law expert.
You know, what I've heard so far doesn't cause any reason to be concerned. You know, the presidential election, the margin of victory was over 160,000 votes. And from what I understand, there are 2 bad ballots infecting the count, if you will. In other words, there were roughly 20 or so instances of potential voter fraud that are subject to investigation.
Most of the time, elections officials caught this problem before double votes got counted, but there is a lot we don't know. Out of 19 people who allegedly tried to vote twice, 9 of them apparently got subpoenas, mainly because investigators couldn't get them on the phone to talk about it.
Are there any explanations for this, how this could happen?
Well, yes, there are potentially innocent explanations. For example, the county took no further action on voters who tried to vote in person because they thought they hadn't put enough postage on their absentee ballots. There's going to be a hearing on Friday to talk about it.
Yeah, they got to tighten up those rules in Ohio to make sure it doesn't happen again.
And they're pretty tight already.
Yeah, but they got to tighten them up a little bit more to make sure you can't get an absentee ballot, then go vote, pass it in, write one for your grandmother. I mean, that's
amazing.
You know, pretty shocking, I got to say.